Jewish intellectual movements and the general cultural influence of Jews has been important in the decline of the American family. If you look at the charts for all the markers of family pathology, divorce, teenage child rearing, percentage of children who are reared without two parents and so on, all of them start going up around 1965, which is right at the center, the beginning really of the Cultural Revolution in our society. It's interesting that if you go back to say 1920, that at that time, almost nobody had premarital sex. Divorce was unheard of. It was very hard to get a divorce. It was simply not socially sanctioned. If you look at the behavior genetics literature, you find that there was no genetic influence on age of first sexual intercourse. What this means is that the only real important force was culture, because everybody was reared in this Christian culture, and in which premarital sex was proscribed, so that it didn't matter what your genetic tendencies were. In other words, you could be the kind of person who was strongly attracted to that, but you still couldn't do it anyway because the culture was totally clamped down on that. After 1965, there started to be a strong genetic influence. In other words, some people could sort of deal with this new cultural environment where there were relatively few controls on sexuality. Other people could not. So what you see now is that people who are prone to impulsivity, people who can't control their sexuality and so on, these are the people who are, having sex when they're teenagers, they're getting pregnant, they're taking drugs, they're drinking, doing all these things because the culture has made it possible to do that. Those genetic tendencies were always present in the population, but that did not result in much difference in behavior because of the strong cultural controls. After 1965, those controls were washed away. And so now, whether or not you engage in sexual intercourse, say in high school, teenage pregnancy, and dropping out, all those things are much more under genetic influence than they used to be. So there are still an awful lot of children who do not get into that stuff. But these are the people who tend to be relatively controlled, non-impulsive, more intelligent, and so on. So the fact that there's been such a huge deterioration of culture has had a much greater impact at the lower end of the IQ distribution and the lower end of the impulsivity distribution. Those people need more cultural support. And so the impact of the Cultural Revolution has been felt most strongly on the people at the lower end of the IQ distribution, the lower end of the sort of personal control distribution.